Did that new The Way of Water trailer make you thirsty to see the new Avatar sequel? Big whale, new friends, old enemies. Over 10 years later, there's a lot happening on Pandora. After a gorgeous shot of some Na'vi swimming in a sea full of fantastical creatures, we're reunited with Neytiri, princess of the Omaticaya clan and wife of Jake Sully. Several years have passed since the first movie, and she is visibly pregnant in several shots. Still, motherhood hasn't stopped Neytiri from continuing to be an incredible hunter, who probably still treats Jake like an ignorant child. We don't hear much from Neytiri in the trailer, but she seems to be having a sort of crisis of faith toward the end. But it seems like life hasn't been that bad for the two between films. In a way, the new trailer presents Jake and Neytiri's adoptive daughter Kiri as the real protagonists of The Way of Water. Kiri is played by returning actor Sigourney Weaver, who previously portrayed Grace Augustine, who met her demise in the first film. Though Jake and the rest of the Omaticaya tried to ask the goddess Awa to intervene and transfer Grace's consciousness to her avatar, the procedure failed and she passed away. Or did she? Kiri seems to have a strong connection to someone or something in the trailer.
I know you think I'm crazy, but I feel her.
Perhaps it's Awa, but what if she's talking about Grace? As soon as it was announced that Weaver would return to the franchise, endless theories popped up about how exactly that would work, from her character being reincarnated to her playing an entirely new role. What if the truth is somewhere in the middle? Kiri is clearly not like other Na'vi. She has 5 fingers instead of 4, and she generally looks like Grace. But if she is saying that she hears Grace somewhere within Awa, it could mean she could somehow communicate with her and learn about humans, which could be useful for the fight to come. Naturally, a new trailer means plenty of opportunities to theorize about the sequel story, but it's also a visual showcase of the experience we'll have in December. And what a spectacle it is! From the big landscape shots with tons of creatures underwater to the more personal character moments, it all seems remarkable. Fans will notice the subtle reflection of light on the Na'vi, and the attention paid to the texture of their skin and the small water droplets as they emerge from water. We're at a time where computer-generated VFX is as crucial to blockbuster filmmaking as a good cast. And unfortunately, most VFX artists are severely underpaid and overworked, especially by big studios like Marvel. This causes big movies to feel rushed and unfinished because the people in charge of the CGI simply don't get enough time or resources to properly deliver the best product possible. Avatar: The Way of Water, at least if the trailer is any indication, doesn't have that problem. A film like this depends extremely heavily on its effects, since most of the film is shot using motion capture and CG environments, and it looks like we're in for a visual feast. The trailer formally introduces us to a new clan, the Metkayina, and their leader Tonowari. Already there is a clear visual distinction between the Metkayina and the Omaticaya, with the former having a close connection to water and a more diverse habitat. Tonowari is distrustful of Jake Sully and warns him not to bring his war to the Metkayina. Why exactly the plot is moving seaside is still unclear, but it is obvious the new war front will be on water. In a later shot in the trailer, we see what looks sort of like a battleship the humans use, and submarine vehicles they use to chase the Na'vi. The question is, why would Tonowari turn Jake away? It's not like they can be oblivious as to the humans' impact on Pandora or their destructive powers. And it's not like he can be ignorant of the idea that the humans can be pushed back, as we saw how the Na'vi won in the last movie. Whatever the case, it is clear Tonowari and Jake Sully will have a bit of a rivalry for at least part of the film. And it surely won't help that their children are involved in a Shakespearean romance. The Avatar: The Way of Water also introduces us to Loak, the second child of Neytiri and Jake. He is notable for having both 5 fingers and eyebrows despite being the biological son of Neytiri, implying that Jake's avatar traits can be passed down genetically. Unsurprisingly, the rest of the Na'vi kids don't seem to be super accepting of his differences, as we see Loak talk about being discriminated against and feeling like an outcast. But there is at least one person who doesn't treat him like an outcast: Soraya, the daughter of Tonowari. That's right, we're having a bit of a Romeo and Juliet situation in The Way of Water. Also curious is the shot of young Loak seemingly forming a strong bond with a whale-like Tolkien named Paya Khan. Is this the start of the water version of Taruk Makto? Though we don't see much of Jake's other children, we know they are 5 children in total, with 2 adoptive ones. It seems the humans are getting some new toys for the fight this time around, as we see avatars being used by the military. We don't know yet how this connects with the return of Stephen Lang's Colonel Quaritch, but having enemy avatars fighting against the Na'vi doesn't seem good for our heroes. Also in the shot is a giant freaking whale creature, which implies that we could get another climactic fight like that of the first film where Awa herself helps out by sending a bunch of animals, but this time with giant sea creatures.
Awa has heard you!
Now that would be very cool. Avatar: The Way of Water opens in theaters on December 16th, 2022.